Hello, good day everyone. So this will be your last lecture for midterms in Mol Bio and Diagnostic Techniques. So we will be discussing on restriction enzymes in RFLP. So these are important in analyzing DNA and doing DNA fingerprinting. So we want you to be able to differentiate the different types of restriction enzymes, the mechanisms, and the role of restriction enzymes in generating the RLFP patterns. So imagine what if instead of having magical scissors that cut through dimensions, you can cut DNA so that you can do analysis and help the development of mankind. So, ano pala yung restriction enzymes? Restriction enzymes are also known sometimes as restriction endonucleases, and they are the proteins that are recognized to that able to cut specific DNA sequences. So they function as yung molecular scissors, and they can cut double-stranded DNA on specific recognition sites. So they were originally discovered in bacteria as a method of defense mechanism against viruses. And they can also recognize palindromic sequences, and of course, after cutting DNA sequences, they are now able to generate DNA fragments. So in being molecular scissors, they were also found to be naturally occurring kasi nga nung na-discover sila, they were original role nila na nagets ng scientists before were providing defense against bacteriophage. So yun yung mga viruses that infect DNA. And then the host DNA is protected by methylases. So they are able to protect their own DNA from being degraded. So this is the role of restriction enzymes. Again, they are molecular scissors and they cut double-stranded DNA pwedeng on specific recognition sites or points in the DNA sequence. So before, it was first discovered in 1970. So sorry, this is the first restriction enzyme discovered, HIND2, and it was discovered in 1970 by Hamilton Smith and Daniel Nathan. So their discovery of these enzymes were able to revolutionize genetic research. So doon nag-start yung gene cloning, DNA sequencing, and genetic engineering. And over time, since scientists were able to characterize different and hundreds of restriction enzymes, it was noted na each has own recognition sequences and cutting patterns. So parang normal enzymes lang, but for this particular type of enzymes, they just cut DNA. So ano ba yung mechanism of action ng restriction enzymes? So they first scan the DNA. So the enzyme can move along the DNA strand, which while doing it, it's searching for the specific recognition site. And then once the recognition site is found, it will bind to the DNA molecule. So after that, it will now cut the DNA backbone. So how does it cut? It will cut in each sugar phosphate backbone. So it's cutting or hydrolyzing yung phosphodiester bond between nucleotides. So of course, since may cut, there will be creation of DNA fragments. And the fragments that are formed can be of two types, which we will discuss later. Yung tatawagin na blunt-ended or parang straight cut, or the sticky-ended na parang staggered cut. So those will be discussed on the following slides. So thinking about it, why do bacteria have specific restriction enzymes ba? So sabi nga kanina, because it's like an immune system for the bacteria, allowing it to protect itself from the virus. Kasi ano palang purpose ng viruses? Diba they just steal genetic sequence from another living organism. So when the virus will inject that DNA into a bacterium or a group of bacteria, those restriction enzymes will now cut the viral DNA. So when that happens, nape-prevent yung infection. And sabi natin kanina, bacteria can protect their own DNA using the enzyme methylases. So the bacteria methylates their own DNA at restriction sites. So remember previous mga lectures, when a DNA is methylated, it's not touchable. So it prevents self-cleavage as well. So ano bang itsura ng or parang what is the visualization of cutting by a restriction enzyme? So first, magnesium is required as a cofactor. So ang cofactors, again, they are non-protein chemicals that are required for an enzyme's biological activity. And even though we have different types of restriction enzymes, most of them will require magnesium ions to function properly as enzymes. So ano bang ginagawa ni magnesium? It will stabilize yung DNA backbone, and it will try to help neutralizing the charges of the DNA, as the DNA occurring naturally as a negatively charged, yung kanyang backbone ay negatively charged. So when the magnesium is able to help neutralize those charges, nagkakaroon tayo ngayon ng proper enzyme binding. So this image shows how the phosphodiester bond was cleaved. And then, yung magnesium dito helps facilitate this reaction by activating the water molecules. So, it will now attack the DNA backbone, breaking the bond. So that's what happens and how the magnesium helps in the action of the restriction enzyme. So ano nga ulit yung mechanism of action? First, si restriction enzyme magbabind to the specific recognition site after scanning, and then it will now activate the water molecule helped by the magnesium. And then there will be hydrolysis by breaking of the phosphodiester bond. So nagkakaroon ng cleavage of DNA, separating them into two different fragments. So nandun na tayo ngayon sa cut DNA fragments. So leaving either yung sticky end ba yung type na na-produce or blunt-ended na fragments. So important talaga yung role ng mga cofactors for enzymes. So we have what we call as palindromic sequences. Diba, this one is also crucial for the restriction enzymes to function. So palindromic sequences are DNA sequences that are same forward and backwards, but in two ways. So merong tinatawag na mirror-like palindromes. So the single strand of DNA reads the same forward and backward, like this one, GTAATG. So GTAATG. So meron din tayong tinatawag na inverted repeat palindrome. So this one is more common, and the palindromic essence is that the sequence on one strand is the reverse complement of the sequence on the opposite strand. So, for example, GTAATC, it will pair with CTTAAG in 3 to 5. So restriction enzymes typically recognize these sequences more common than the mirror-like palindrome. So these are important because it will ensure specificity in genetic manipulation. So this one helps in DNA cloning and recombination. So this particular sequence is recognized by the restriction enzyme na E-COR1 restriction enzyme. So that's the example. Sabi natin kanina, we have two types of restriction fragments. Merong blunt ends or yung straight cut, and merong sticky ends or the staggered cut. So in terms of illustration, ganito yung parang thought. Blunt ends, na-cut lang siya straight. Tapos yung sticky ends, na-cut siya in a staggered manner. So what are blunt ends? So they are produced when the restriction enzyme cuts both strands at the same position. So straight cut. So ang itsura ng fragments even-ended. So parang ganito. Straight ring, ganun. So straight lang siya. So there are no single-stranded overhangs. So yung makikita nyo later, ano lang siya, double-stranded pa rin pareho. So this is specific in recombination kasi walang natural tendency yung fragments to stick together. So this is just a straight through cut. So meron tayong different restriction enzymes that can recognize certain sequences like halimbawa CCC, GG, and it will just cut straight through. So there are those types of restriction enzymes. So ang advantage niya, so it can any two blunt-ended fragments can be joined. Hindi niya kailangan ng complementary overhangs kasi ididikit lang sila eh. So it's more versatile in ligation or in joining the DNA fragments together. However, hindi siya as efficient for DNA recombination, and it will require higher concentrations for DNA ligase to have a successful joining together of the fragments. However, for the sticky ends naman, staggered cut, so parang nakat siya like this. So, merong single-stranded overhang. So, ito yung sinasabi na single-stranded overhang. Ganito. So, it makes an offset cut. So, yung overhanging nucleotides, these ones, can form hydrogen bonds with any complementary sequences. So, this sticky end will now increase yung specificity talaga ng DNA recombination kasi merong specific na nucleotides that should bind with another complementary nucleotide. So, yung example natin kanina, si E-COR1, it recognizes the GAA-TTC. So, it will cut between GNA and then it will cut on another end. So, nagkakaroon ng 4 nucleotides na single-stranded. So, this is a staggered cut. So, the advantage again for the sticky ends is that mas efficient yung DNA recombination, and this can be used for gene cloning when we insert the DNA into plasmids. However, it can only be joined for strands na may complementary fragments. So, ang problem with DNA na single-stranded, kasi nga hindi siya stable, so mas mabilis siyang ma-degrade if hindi na-handle properly yung DNA specimen. So that's for sticky ends. So again, ano yung difference between blunt and sticky ends? Pag blunt, straight cut. Pag sticky ends, staggered cut. So walang overhang yung blunt ends kasi nga straight lang yun. Yung sticky end, merong single-stranded overhang. So the blunt ends are usually for general DNA cloning. For sticky ends naman, usually pag kailangan ng DNA recombination technology, mas gusto nila gamitin yung restriction enzymes that produce sticky ends. So this is important particularly for facilitating DNA recombination. So next, how do we name restriction enzymes? So restriction enzymes are named according to bacterial genus, species, and strain. So for example, Escherichia E. coli, Co. R. So the strain is RY13 and meron siyang 1 kasi this is first identified. So order of identification in the bacterium. So the genus is italicized if ever mapapansin niyo siya. Again, genus, species, yung strain, and then order of discovery. So that's for naming or nomenclature of restriction enzyme. So yung kanina na mention na HIND2, so that's from Haemophilus influenzae, strain RD, tapos second order of discovery. So that's yun yung first restriction enzyme ever discovered. So aside from nomenclature, meron tayong types of restriction enzymes. Diba na mention kanina, we have different types. So how do we type restriction enzyme or how are they categorized? So it's based on composition, characteristic of the cleavage site, and the cofactor requirements. Although lahat naman kailangan ng magnesium. So, meron tayong major types of restriction enzymes and meron din tayong subtypes for 2. So, generally, yung type 1, these are the cofactors being required. So, it will cleave at sites away from recognition sites. So, an example, ECO B and ECO K. So, for type 2 naman, magnesium lang yung kailangan. It will cleave at or near short specific distances from the recognition site. So, ito yung mga example. While for type 3, it has a specific cleavage of 25 to 27 base pairs from the recognition site. And for type 4, it will cleave modified DNA. So, either methylated or hydroxymethylated or glucosyl hydroxymethylated. So, that's close to or within the recognition site. So, ito yung mga examples. For the subtypes naman, your type 2 enzymes, meron pa siyang further division. So, type 2 enzymes do not require ATP for activity. So, they are divided into different subtypes. Actually, mas marami pa dito. And they are type based on how they recognize and cleave DNA. But for the specific one, please follow your reference books when you are studying kung ano yung specific cleavage site and example. Basta take note, 2P is also sometimes referred to as the classical restriction enzyme. So this one, type 2P, is the most commonly used na restriction enzyme in the laboratories. So, ano ngayon ang application ng restriction enzymes based on what we have discussed so far. It's of course useful in genetic engineering. So when we do DNA cloning, we can cut and insert genes into vectors for gene expression, for genome mapping, yung DNA sequences in analyzing the different genetic differences, and the RFLP, which we will discuss later, or the restriction fragment length polymorphism. So that's a DNA fingerprinting technique that analyzes variations in DNA sequences. Kaya, the discovery of restriction enzymes has made different breakthroughs in molecular biology. So based on that, what now is our FLP? So this restriction fragment length polymorphism. So it is a technique that will use the function of restriction enzymes in analyzing the variations in the DNA fragment lengths among different individuals or organisms. So when the DNA is digested or cut by the restriction enzyme, it will produce fragments of different lengths. And these fragments can be separated by gel electrophoresis. And then we will now try to analyze the fragment patterns that show genetic variations among individuals. So ano ang key applications for the RFLP? So this is used in forensics for DNA fingerprinting, pwede for paternity testing, and for genetic disease diagnosis. So in terms of steps, what are the steps or parang method of DNA analysis? So first, we have to extract the DNA, of course. So kung ano man yung sample, blood, tissue, forensic sample, so we will extract that. And then we will now cut into fragments using yung restriction enzymes. Ang tawag dyan, the restriction digest. And then, when we have the fragments, we have to separate them through, how do we separate nucleic acid? So we use gel electrophoresis. And then, this one, we will transfer to a membrane and analyze that through Southern blot procedure. And then there will be DNA hybridization. So yung labeled probe will bind to the specific sequence, and it will now reveal that fragment length. And then we have to see that, so we do visualization so that we can analyze or observe the fragments in different lengths. So that's the overview of method for RFLP. So ano nga yung sabi natin kanina? We have to do restriction, digestion, fragment separation using gel electrophoresis, Southern blotting, probe hybridization, and yung visualization through a film. So this is the basic workflow for RFLP. So yung first step, yung purified genomic DNA here will be digested to produce genomic fragments, and yung gagamitin dyan are the restriction enzymes. So yung choice of restriction enzymes will be based on the ability kung ano yung genetic variability. So these digested fragments will now be separated by gel electrophoresis. So they will appear as yung parang continuous smear on the gel. So I know you have seen this in the laboratory. So this will create a different, it will create the distribution based on the fragment sizes generated by the enzyme. And now, to detect that fragments the gel-separated DNA fragments will be transferred to a membrane. So, yung nitrocellulose ba or PVDF membrane for handling or detection. And this will now be this will now be analyzed. So there will be probe hybridization, and then it will allow analysis of the fragments na produce from the electrophoresis after blotting. And then we have to see that through a film. So that's the flow of the restriction fragment length polymorphism na procedure. So this one shows an illustration, yung genomic DNA. Makikita nyo dito na merong digestion and merong probe. So, probe A and the E-core I, digested genomic DNA, will define one RFLP for a specific genome. So, probe A and then HIND3, digested DNA, will also define a different RFLP for that genome. So, even though hindi kailangan yung template sequence, it allows us to develop faster yung RFLP probes. So the RFLPs, together with the restriction enzymes, will be used to detect DNA differences between two individuals. So for this illustration naman, so it illustrates probe hybridization and detection, and it will compare two individuals, so individual A and individual B. So the probe A detects different restriction fingerprints in the two individuals due to the loss or gain of the HIND3. Meron dito, and dito wala. So in most cases, fragment length variability between two individuals is a result of insertion or deletion of the DNA sequence outside of the restriction sites. So, pwede natin to gamitin for disease monitoring, genetic counseling, hindi lang in analyzing the different genetic sequences for two individuals. So, individual A and individual B, you can distinguish them by HIND3 digestions of the two alleles. So, merong dito and dito, merong additional pa na isa. So, na-separate sila dito. Dito is one straight lang siya. Okay, so that's for the general overview of restriction fragment length polymorphism. So, useful si RFLP, however, it has limitations. So, it will require a larger amount of starting sample DNA. So, that can be slow and cumbersome. So, after this one, meron nang na-develop na newer method, which is the amplification fragment length polymorphism. So it's a gene mapping technique that relies on RFLP, pero after that, there will be PCR to amplify the fragments, kaya siya tinawag na amplification fragment. So the AFLP was first developed for plant studies Pero now we can use this in creating new genetic maps or determination or establishment of linkage and studying genetic diversity. So it just requires smaller amount of starting template kasi i-amplify naman siya later on. So ano yung major steps? First, again, digestion of genomic DNA. Next, there will be ligation of priming site adapters, and then yun na yung mag-amplify na ng fragments using PCR, and then again still isa-separate siya through electrophoresis, and then it will now be visualized using either autoradiography or fluorescence. So for the first step, so yung genomic DNA samples will be enzymatically digested. So example, pwedeng E-core-I and the MSE1. So the genomic DNA is digested, and after itong restriction digestion, so nakita nyo, after there is completion of the digestion, there will be a ligation of 2 adapters to the ends of the fragments dito. So this includes an additional 19 to 22 base pairs so that we can allow subsequent primer binding. And yung ligation results na wala na yung original na MSEI and E-core-I in the recognition sites. Tapos, there will be 2 rounds of PCR amplification. So first, pre-selective muna, and then followed by a selective PCR. So during the pre-selective na PCR, the DNA fragments na meron E-core-1 and MSE1 ligation will be amplified, and then the more selective PCR now na method will include primer sets that will allow carrying even up to 3 additional bases at the 3' end. So 3' end of the primer for this one. So yung primers will include selective nucleotides that will be in combination with the PCR conditions, and that primer will help ensure na yung amplification will occur for the DNA fragments lang that will share homology doon sa 3' ends of the selective primer. So after this one, yung combination will now be undergoing either gel electrophoresis or capillary electrophoresis. So this one will now allow visualization of the amplified sequences. And after that, yung visualization methods natin, kung halimbawa capillary gel electrophoresis is preferred, you do fluorescent labeling. So that's how we can now visualize like this one, yung fragments na na-amplify after digestion. So that's what happens in AFLP as an overview. So again, that's the summary of what restriction enzymes are and RFLP as the parang base method na ginamit after discovery of restriction enzymes. So I hope you are able to learn well today and study your books, and thank you. God bless.